first. Hello, mate.
Where are we starting? Dan?
It's Dan. Hello, mate. Yeah.
First of all, what did you make of the performance overall?
I thought we started well. I felt we matched them physically. There's been a lot of talk around, I think I heard tactically around their rotations in midfield, but we just need to be a little bit braver in the jump. But their plan was to pull us in to go over us 1v1s on the halfway line. So all in all, I think, you know, I wanted us to be kind of with the ball brave. I wanted to take them. I think they dribbled and jawed better than us a little bit more, which they pay for. So, credit to them. Congratulations to them on the season they've had. But yeah, I think we could have been better in those moments. But again, Dan, it comes down to the game has swung on set pieces, and it's a penalty that's poor from us, and again a set piece that's poor from us. And I'm not blaming the set piece; it's concentration and player individuality within that. So we got work to do.
How do you kind of sum that up, the set pieces? Because obviously, you know, across the season you've been so good defensively, but in these games against Chelsea, you've been undone kind of, 3-4 times across the games.
Yeah, they're pretty good at them, Dan. They're pretty good. They've got monsters in there. So yeah, you give up something, they can attack a different zone. They've got quality on delivery. It's not easy, is the answer. When you deliver set pieces, you can do them for days and days, and then they find a different space. So you've just got to, in the moment, take responsibility. And I think from the young team that I've got, I think their experience will grow from this. I see Anna Sandberg at the end, who's distraught. She's in a big final, but she'll learn from it. There's loads and loads of learning opportunities. As disappointed as I am, we've had a fantastic season. To do what we've done. And get into Champions League qualification again. We've had a fantastic season. So those moments will fix, I have no doubt. It will change again next year, Dan. It always does. But I think in big moments, we have to make sure we take individual responsibility.
Emma?
By the way, guys, you don't have to say commiserations. It's fine. I get it. We lost.
Can I just ask about Ella Toon? Obviously, she wasn't in the starting 11. What was the thinking behind that one?
Well, if you watch Chelsea, and we've played them 3 times, when they play Cuthbert, it's the boot our midfielders, and she's a much better player than that. She's a great player, but they try and physically dominate you in midfield. So I felt that if we started the game without physically matching them, then I felt that we wouldn't have a foothold in the game. It's pretty balanced first half. I know they had a bit of territory, and we had to defend, but I don't think either keeper really had to do that much. So it was about balancing for the right time. So what I didn't like against Arsenal, was that we didn't have much change. There wasn't nothing to come into the game, so it couldn't really make us better. It was nothing. It wasn't personal. It was more about the right opportunity to change the game, and I felt that Tuna could do that from the second half. So just so happens at half time we take an injury to Millie, and she has to come out, so we have to adapt anyway. So, but it was more about the game plan. It's very difficult to go toe-to-toe with Chelsea, especially in the final. So we had to try and find the ability to adapt the game and change it. So that's the sole reason, tactical.
Sure, you will be expecting this, but Chelsea's board obviously turned out in numbers, new investors.
Mm-hmm.
Alexis, Serena flew over from the US to be here.
Yeah.
So Jim Ratcliffe wasn't here yet again. He was obviously criticised heavily last year for not being here.
Mm-hmm.
Why wasn't he here, and how do you feel about that?
In all honesty, I don't know why Jim wasn't here, so I can't give you that answer. But we were really well represented. Like Omar's up there. Omar, we've got the Glazer family in a massive support, and obviously Jason's up there as well. So I know we're trying to find a story, but we've just lost the final. And from my perspective, I don't know the answer to that. And how I feel about that is that I've just lost the final, but our club is really well represented. So, and those are the people that I kind of deal with every day. So that's the people I need to be in. They need to see that for us to be able to look at what we need to do to close a growing gap in finance that Chelsea obviously have. So, yeah, I don't really feel like I don't know the answer. You'd have to ask that, but I feel like we were really well supported from the club.
I appreciate, as you said, it's an FA Cup final, but arguably that's more reason to talk about it because you've reached this stage. It's such a pinnacle of the game, and obviously, one of the co-owners of the club hasn't been here. Mm-hmm. I appreciate you say you don't work with them on an everyday basis, but surely that is a concern for, you know, the women's side of Manchester United that somebody as high profile, so Jim Ratcliffe, doesn't feel the need to be here? Like,
I mean, potentially that's the angle you want to talk about. For me, like, the reality is that it's the investment in the team that needs to happen. It's not whether you're visible. I get you, the representation of visibility is how you see it, but as long as our club and team is being invested in, that is also a way of showing your support for the team. So for us, we need to close that gap. And again, as I say, like, Omar is a key player in what we do. Jason is a key player in the football side of what we do, and they were here. And obviously the Glazer family are key players in what we do still. So for us, I understand the angle. I don't know the reason why Jim wasn't here, but as long as the club continues to invest in the right way that we need to do to close that gap, then they're still showing the support in that way. And I really think that's a pertinent point. Visibility is key, and I get that they're flown over. Let's see how many times they fly over in the season for Chelsea, because it's a final, so it's easy for them to do so. And credit to them by that. It's not, that's them. But from my perspective, I feel the support, and we need to show it in the right way in the summer, I think, in order for us to close that gap.
Appreciate your answers.
Thank you,
Marc.
Em. Thank you.
Hi, Mark.
Hello.
Just going back to Ella, I appreciate you gave the explanation on the tactics, but obviously she's got a bit of a knack for delivering at Wembley that we've seen before, both for England and Man United.
Yeah.
Does that come into your thinking at all when you're selecting a team?
Of course it does. Yeah, of course it does. The reality is, though, Kit, we've also played Chelsea, and in the season, I felt that there were moments in that game where, the first game, Tooney didn't play; she was injured when we played them away, and then second game we played them, and I felt that we had. Was one of our best performances ever against Chelsea. So from our perspective, there was rationale for us to do that. Yes, she can. Of course she can. She's an incredible player, but we also need to be in the game for 90 minutes, not just little flashes that, unfortunately we wasn't able to deliver today.
And just also to go on stuff with Sir Jim, would you have expected an explanation for why he wasn't here? Or
I would never get that explanation. It wouldn't come to me. That would come to the people around me. I'm here to work with the team, so I don't know the rationale. Maybe we'll talk about that in the summer, I don't know. But reality was I felt that we were well supported from the club.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Kit.
Tom, can I just say, I don't think we need any more Jim questions.
Yeah, I think
Marc's clearly explained we have been focusing very heavily this week on the actual match and not about who's going to be here and who's not going to be here, so I don't think we need any more questions on it. He said what he needs to say, okay?
Marc, what did Ella say when you told her that she wasn't playing today? How did she take the news?
Yeah, we met, of course, because I do that in person. And look, Tooney's my vice captain. She understands the situation. She'll be extremely disappointed not to start. That's the nature of the person. So yeah, she took the information, and that was it, Tom. That's part and parcel of making decisions in this game. It's not nice. It's not a nice place to be, especially in big finals. But I always knew that Tooney could come into the game and make a difference. So that was always the plan.
Please, can I ask a more broad question about Chelsea's sort of dominance now? I think there was maybe a sentiment last season that Emma Hayes is moving on, end of an era, maybe it's a chance for others, and they've only gone and got stronger. Like, it's an unbeaten domestic season. How concerned are you by that? Can the gap be closed, not just by yourselves, but everybody for Chelsea?
I think I've answered this, not today, Tom, but I'll answer it again. The honesty is I don't know. I've got to find Manchester United's way in the summer. Right now, we've had a big, long season. We've got to another FA Cup final, 3 in a row. We've got back into Champions League qualification. So I think for me, if you saw me at the end on the pitch, it's not. I'm staring into space because I'm thinking about how I can close that gap. And I'm not going to have the finances that maybe an Arsenal or Manchester City are. But I think I get the dominance, but I think it sounds crazy, but I think Chelsea have in games this year been able to. You could have got them, and I don't think most teams in the league have maximised that. So let's see. I mean, they're only going to invest, Tom. So we've really got to. I've got to dig deep in my thoughts and see where I can close that gap. But I will do that for sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
You worked in the States in the NWSL.
Yeah.
Wales did a playoff system.
Yeah.
I think that would be an interesting idea to bring in here. Maybe the same team win the championship.
Okay.
To open up a little bit.
I understand. Yeah, so I understand what you're saying. I don't know if England is ready for that type of system in terms of. Look, who knows? The WPL might look at that as a strategy. I think right now we just have to find a way of closing that gap to Chelsea as much as we can. The reality is you play them twice, so you've got to be almost perfect against. Like today, we'd have had to have been perfect against them. Having been in the playoff system, I think it doesn't really, for the team that's been the best team in the league for the whole of the year, they probably sometimes don't get the reward they deserve, which is to win that ending. So probably not. I don't think we're ready for it in England anyway. Yeah, I don't think we're ready for it.
What did he say in the huddle at the end? That went on for quite a while.
Yeah, I just said to be proud of them. So, like, it's really hard in disappointment to find the words to kind of give people some solace. So I'm really proud of you for the season you've given. We have to go away. Say, for example, we don't get £1 to spend in the summer, which I know we will. So we will, but we've got to maximise what we've got in the minute. So as our players, we have to come back fitter, stronger, more aggressive. We have to concentrate more and control the controllables. And I think that's all right. Give them the power. I still believe this, and I'll believe this as long as I'm Manchester. I think we're the best team and have the best team spirit in the country. Honestly, I see it. We've got a unique spirit as a group, but now we need to maximise. George said to my sports science group just that whatever you need, we need to maximise. Because I felt today in some of those duels, I felt we got bounced far too easily. So I think young people will learn from that, and that's where we can grow. So that was the theme of what I was trying to say.
In terms of, I'm not talking about Sir Jim not being here, but he has said in the past that the women's team wear the shirt and they have a kind of duty to kind of back you. Mm-hmm. There's a new training ground coming on stream start of next season, hopefully. You're talking about closing the gap. Mm-hmm. How do you ensure that it doesn't get wider? Is it a simple financial manoeuvres, or is there another way?
I think it's, honestly, I think I said this, I need to go and find the other answers. I don't think it is financial. There's some finances in it, because I think we, vastly, quite openly spend less than Chelsea. They spend often and they win for it. So I don't know. I'm going to go away and find, I won't rest over the summer. I've got to find a way that we can close that different types of gap. But we do need investment as well. Of course we do. I think the club know that. We're also going through a period as a club where, things are changing and we're trying to get back in, and we understand where we're at as a club and what we need to do. So I've got to find little snippets here and there that can make us better, but there's definitely some financial closure that we need as well.
Marc, hearing your sort of explanation and rationale for having Ella Toone on the bench, wanting that impetus, that gravitas from the bench, and also getting an understanding that you feel perhaps that you have made the absolute most of the resource you have at your disposal. Mm-hmm. What would be the number one priority for you when you have the eyes that you do in the Wembley Stadium, taking a look at where the differences might be between where Manchester United are right now and where you want to be competing with Chelsea in the future?
That's a good question. I think we need that, obviously in the forward line, we need variance. I think we need to have the ability to invade, not just defend. I think we're really good on transition. I think we create a lot of chances from defensive transition. But I think we need to invest in there. I think, it might need a freshen up in parts of midfield. I'm really looking forward to Simi Awujo. She hasn't played as much, but she's not been ready for it this year. Mentally, she's coming into a first professional so I'm excited to see where she goes. We attack on all lines. We need to strengthen again, maybe in full-back areas, just to add that deal. We have Hannah coming back, of course, which would be great. I think we really missed Jade today. Jade Riviere, I think we missed her massively, because when they invaded their wing backs, we would have been able to jump that a lot better. But for Aoife, it's been fantastic this season. So I think those are the areas that we need to look at. But I won't. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go away from this and I'm going to look at specifically where I think players are up to, where maybe some might need to move on, some might need to stay, and who we grow. But I need a space. So we haven't had a space to do that. I need a space now to do that. And that's where I'll kind of maximise my time.
Does it help your cause as well that you can go to the ownership and people in influential decision-making positions and say, look, I've got this club to an FA Cup final, we've got Champions League football now? Does it help your negotiation position?
Do you know what? More importantly, I think if you watch it today, I think you see the difference, right? And I must stress, I love my team and I love their energy and their honesty and their commitment. And we have a lot of young players, but like I think you see the difference. Just look at the changes in the substitutes, and I don't mean that against ours being negative, but it's a totally different experience. And I think we need that level of experience and quality in order to really make a difference. Thank you.
Marc, just wanted to ask a bit about, you spoke at the start of the season about adaptability, sort of adapting in terms of tactical setups. I was wondering how you felt today, obviously with Chelsea going to that back three. Did you feel the team adapted to that well? And also how did or didn't kind of squad depth play a role in that? Do you think that would have helped more?
Yeah, for sure. We knew that they played a 5 against Liverpool last, so we had it in the plan. We'd gone through it pre-match with the girls anyway. The reality is we want to be an aggressive team, so you've got to be able to jump consistently. I don't know whether that's Aoife's kind of greatest of traits, whereas Jade, it perfectly fits. So I think that's an adaptation. Again, another one, Gabby and Anna are totally different kind of players, so we looked at whether it would be Anna or Gabby from the start. And I think when we won the ball, I wanted us to be more brave with it, like take people on a little bit more. But we changed shape 3 times in the game. We went 3 9s at the end. Like, we couldn't really have done much more tactically in order to make and try and adapt. And we went player for player press. And just with their quality, they're able to beat us sometimes on that 1v1, and that's where they opened us up a little bit.
So did you feel that came down to kind of those individual qualities and moments rather than the team sort of struggling to adapt to those positional shifts? How did you think they coped with those kind of demands?
Yeah, I think they were right. Honestly, I thought they were right. Like, they see them, they rotate. We could have jumped a centre half in to one of their 10, Sandy or Aggie Beaver, when they dropped in. We wanted to do that quick at half time. We had a lot more balance with that. And again, the game gets away on set pieces. So when they score, it obviously gives them rhythm. And at the end, we go player for player. So we set the ball back and we create a mistake, and that goes in. But again, you watch that shouldn't be a mistake. That should be a set to Anna who plays line. Those are the details. But I don't think Chelsea make those mistakes just because of their experience. Honestly, I asked Sonia. Sonia will not have to walk them through half the things that they would do themselves. She spoke about picking up Emma's legacy. Well, Emma's legacy probably is to build a robust team that can actually take the responsibility in those moments, because they're used to them. They've won a lot. So that's what we don't have. And that's something, if I want to bridge a gap, that might be a way that we do it, is buying those kind of people that have been and won that and putting them into our team as well. But there was some adaptation. We couldn't physically get to them today. I think they were better than us physically, and it's something that I've also still got to look at.
Megan?
Hi, Marc. So looking a little bit more forward, we're talking about closing the gap and looking at this game maybe as a jumping point. So where do you see yourself in 12 months' time? Do you see yourself back here? Like, what do you want to see from the squad?
Yeah, it's a good point. I think the reality is, if we can qualify for the Champions League, then it's going to add more burden to the squad, right? Because you're going to be having higher profile games midweek and then potentially Chelsea on the weekend. So, we would need to invest in the summer. Like, we need to get the right depth. If we don't, then you'll struggle. I think you've seen Manchester City this year, when they get injuries because they're stretching to that point, they then dip off. And it kind of tends to be the curve, right? Arsenal the same the year before. Like, it tends to be curves and dips. So I think Chelsea probably the only team that, although they're not yet where they want to be, which is the Champions League, they've invested in the squad enough for them to have that depth and be able to cover those midweek to weekend games. That will be the challenge for us, for sure. I think we have the quality to qualify for Champions League, but being able to spread the squad thin over 3 games a week, that will be probably one of my biggest challenges.
And just in terms of timing, I mean, I'm assuming everyone wants to go on holiday. You probably deserve a holiday. It's been a really long season. But when do those conversations begin for you? When do you want to start having that and moving forward this summer?
Sorry, question. Conversations
like just
regarding
conversations with the people, like, Omar.
Oh no, no. They've been going on for a while. Like, I'm not going to get to the end of the season and go, now I start to think. No. I've been speaking with Matt Johnson around how we need to design this squad. We've been working on it, and sometimes maybe it is as simple as getting that depth of the team. It's got to be that. Like today, I genuinely mean this. I don't want any one of my players to walk out without their head held high because of what they've done this season. but we still need to increase the quality if we want to challenge Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City on a consistent basis, and not just qualify for Champions League, but give it a go. So I think that's what it will boil down to.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hello, mate.
Hi, Marc. Just on that, I spoke to Gareth Taylor earlier this season and said, like, their squad is quite thin, even without the injuries. And he was saying, well, Chelsea can build a big squad because they're in the Champions League every year. But do you think it has to be, you have to build there to get there? You can't just build it?
No, you have to build it before. You can't just get there and build it. The thing it does is it spotlights your team. It gives them probably a little bit more investment because they know it's a challenge of Champions League. So you do get a little bit more, especially a club like us. We're not going to go out and spend multi-millions. Like you look at Chelsea's winter window, right? It just tells you the difference, right? So no, I mean, we can't wait. We've got to do it now. I'm trying to do that, trust me. I have been on calls with numerous amounts of people, players, agents, and I feel that, should we be able to get those move, we have to move the needle before we get to that point. Otherwise, we'll fail. I've no doubt. Look, I'm honest, and if we don't do that squad depth as good, we'll be brilliant in a moment. One game might be the moment, but then it's got to be the depth because it's got to be that hunger. Also does aim, which I've probably not spoken about, is when you have quality in each position and you have depth in there, it creates competition that no coach's words can motivate. Because it's that person stopping me progressing, not just the coach is telling me I can't do it. So Chelsea have that. Chelsea will not be a happy dressing room when they're not playing, but they win. So it keeps them quiet. That's the reality of football. So if we want to be successful, we have to go to that depth. But it's not going to be as easy as that for me. I've got to find diamonds that can also, make us better as well.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Team, thank you for all your questions. I hope you have a fantastic summer, and I'll see you all next season. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Cheers, Steve. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, mate. Thank you. Cheers, guys. Thank you, mate. Thank you. Cheers, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Can I come round? I might as well come round. Hello, mate. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, mate. Thank you very much. Thank you. Is there anyone else that wants a handshake? Because I can come round you all. It's been a long season. You started something. There's so many. Thank you very much. Thank you. I've got a voice in it. Thank you very much. Now I'm going to try and test my digital no. Definitely digital. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I'm not sure yet. She definitely has. So she couldn't carry on. She's going to stay at half time. Go. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm going to finish it now. Thank you. See you later, team. Thank you.
Super cape.
The secret to our success is Sonia being a superhero.
This cape is all my secrets.
Okay, who would like to kick us off? Thanks, Em. Go for it.
Congratulations, Sonia.
Thank you.
Is it unrivaled? Is that what it says on the back?
I think so.
I
didn't read. I just put in my shoulders.
Well, you're right. You are unrivaled this season. Obviously, domestically unbeaten, officially now a treble winner. You must feel on top of the world at the moment.
Yeah. Feelings are great. Sometimes difficult to describe them with some words, but it feels really great. You know, when you, again, this season has been tough. When you are able to achieve a treble and domestically to be as much dominant as we have been, I think you really need to enjoy that. Again, I think all the credit to my players because, again, today they performed really well. I think we had a strong performance. So, we just showed our mentality, our values in this game. And I think to be able to end the season in almost a perfect scenario, we won. We were playing in Wembley. Stadium was almost sold out and we had a strong performance, a strong result, I think, against a strong opponent. That's almost the ideal way to end the season.
What made the difference today, do you think?
I think the first 10 minutes we struggled a little bit. I think probably also because when you play this type of games, a final, sold out stadium, the atmosphere, I think even if I have a lot of experience in my squad, sometimes you stress a little bit and the pressure is okay to have the pressure, but sometimes when it's too high, you don't start the way we wanted to start, but after that we were confident enough to turn things around. And I think, after the 10 first minutes, we were a better team. We were stronger, I think. We deserved to win today. And we were in control of the game almost for the rest of the game.
You think you're only going to get better now? Is it scary for everyone else?
I mean, that's our ambition for sure, because we just mentioned it feels really great to be dominant in England. But when you think about it, we didn't win the Champions League. And I think our goal and our ambition is to make sure we compete against the best teams in Europe. Barcelona for sure, but also teams like Lyon. So I think... when you think about it, I'm going further in my answer, but everyone is saying, maybe Chelsea will run away from the pack in the league in England, but our goal for us is to compete against the best team in Europe. So it's nice to have this domestic trouble, but again, we want to make sure in the future and hopefully next season we are able to compete against the best team in Europe.
Just quickly from me, did the kids bring the tennis rackets? Did you see Serena and Alexis?
Yeah, really nice. Again, like when I found out about the news, I was really excited for them to join the club. I think they were here today to show their support, and you can feel from the beginning they have the right mentality coming into Chelsea. I think it was the best way to welcome them as well with this game, this final, and this result. But these people are so much passionate about women's sport and about the women's game. So it's so nice to have them around and to enjoy and to just be with them in this moment.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Kit, thank you.
Hi, Sonia. Congratulations.
Thank you.
No, when we've asked you to kind of analyse this season, you've mentioned kind of the slight disappointment in the Champions League. You mentioned again there, but domestically, could this season have gone any better for you?
No, in terms of result, no. I think we had almost the ideal season. We only dropped, few points, 6 points in the league. We won the two of the trophies, the FA Cup final and also the Subway Cup. So I think, when you analyse that in terms of results, I think it's ideal and perfect almost.
And felt like Sandy Baltimore, obviously with 2 goals and an assist, had a pretty good game. Stenford's actually had a pretty good season. How, I suppose, fitting an end to her season was that performance today?
Yeah, I mentioned that. I think, to be fair, it's difficult to only mention one player name in our season because to achieve the treble, you have to be able to have a team performance all through the season. But Sandy's been incredible, especially because I think the team was performing well, and it's always, and I mentioned that before, it's always easier when the team is performing for an individual to perform. But Sandy had an incredible season. I think for her first year in England, she adapted well and quickly in the team, in the league, and I think she had a big impact in our results and performances this season.
And finally, just quickly going back to Alexis and Serena, I think we've seen a video of you having a quick chat with them after the game today. Can you say what were you discussing with them? Were you talking about Chelsea? Were you talking about your second serve? What were you talking about?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about tennis. I was asking them if their kid were playing football, and obviously they said no tennis, which makes sense because I was trying to have one of their kid coming and signing for Chelsea. But no, we were talking about the game today, the performance, the success in the FA Cup final, and I think I just told them like I was really excited and happy for them to join the club, and I welcome them to the club.
Tom next, please, just behind you. Thanks.
Sonia, congratulations.
Thank you,
could I
Tom.
just follow up on that? When you have such great representation from the ownership, sporting directors, all of the board, etc., what kind of lift do you think that gives your players for a final like this? And then I suppose the second part of that question, do you feel a bit sorry for the Manchester United players that their owner was not here, Sir Jim Ratcliffe? And like, can you give us a bit of understanding of the contrast in the two and the impact for the players and the lift of their mood?
Yeah, for sure, it's a big lift. You know, when we talk about having the right support coming from everyone in the club, today just shows everyone is really involved in this women's team, and it feels great. I was lucky enough to come from a club where it was the case before with Jean-Michel Aulas. He was always coming into every game, and I think that's the most important for people to show their support coming into the games, and just having the right words in the right moments when you are high, but also sometimes when you are low. And I think, that's really like enjoyable for us to see like all the people coming from the ownership were here today, but even more important to feel they were really behind the team, supporting the team. We knew they were coming, and also we had a lot of support coming from them before the game, during all the week, and also on game day. So I think just shows as a woman, when you play in football and women's game, you are in the right club, and you really want to give that back on the pitch for all these people.
And could I ask, if when you accepted the job, if somebody had said you're going to win the treble in your first season, what would you have said to them?
Not sure. I will achieve that in my first season in Chelsea, because I knew I was coming in such a strong league, competitive league, even if I knew I was coming into a club with a lot of ambitions. But for you, in your first season, to be able to adjust, know everything about the club, the players, the squad, the staff. It's tough, and you need to do that as quick as you can, and in the same time perform in terms of results with your team. So I could have probably not expect that. It's almost ideal in terms of domestic dominance. Thank you.
Catherine, next, please.
Hi, Sonia. I think it was Aki that described the club as unapologetically ambitious. Alexis mentioned it at half time. It feels like a kind of fitting description of this Chelsea team, and I'm sure you're probably already thinking about kind of next season and how to get better as well. Yeah.
I mentioned that before, but I already started to reflect on the season and to think about the future. I think, again, it goes back to, I think we were dominant this season in England, but we need to make sure we are going in the right direction to be able to compete against the best teams in Europe. And I think for that reason, we are super happy to have achieved a treble, but we didn't win the Champions League, which was also one of our goals. And I think when we talk about our ambitions, I had some words, I'm not going to mention some names, but we were super happy to enjoy the treble, but some of the people who were on the pitch were already mentioning we are missing the Champions League. So that's who we are, and that's normal. And I totally respect that, because even myself, I just said I want to come to Chelsea and make sure we are all able to achieve that goal, to win the Champions League with the club. So we have that ambitions, and I think we need to go in the right direction to be able to do that and achieve that goal.
Amy next, please.
Hi, Sonia.
Hi, Amy.
I know you've mentioned before about Caterina Macario kind of building her back up because she had 2 years out. How encouraging has the little glimpses she's shown, today, a few other substitute appearances when she scored, how encouraging is that for you for going forward, hoping that, maybe she can get back to the incredible player she was when you won the Champions League at Lyon?
Yeah, I'm probably the best person to know that, because as you just mentioned, I think when we won the Champions League, she was incredible in that final, but also all through the season, her level was really high. And I think, we are trying to get her in that place. Today, she just showed how much quality she has and how much talent she has as a player. I think we know exactly how we need to work with her. She's on the same page. She knows exactly how we want to work with her, and I think that's the most important. And I'm confident, because I think Kata is a player who really wants to work hard. She wants to go in the right direction, and she's really ambitious. So we mentioned, like, if you want to lift more trophies, you have to have in your squad quality and talent, and Kata is one of them.
And from the outside, to play the system you did today, which was a little bit different to Liverpool, but we've not seen that really this season. Is that something you've been cooking up in the background, or was there how risky did you feel it was, from the inside to play that? Because I suppose if it goes wrong, then you get 20 questions about it here.
Yeah, that's why being a manager is sometimes tough, and why I mentioned when it's working, all the credit to the players. But I think it's important for me to just give clarity on the game plan to going into every game to my players, because it brings them a lot of confidence. And I think probably also I want to mention my assistant coach, Camille Abili, and Théo Riverain, my two assistant coaches, because I think we probably know a lot when we go into a game what we need to do with the system, with the organization in the team, defensively, offensively. And we knew from the beginning, after the Liverpool game, this is the way we wanted to play today for different reasons. And I'm not going to give all the details because I want to keep some secrets for next season. But we started to work from Tuesday until Saturday on this system, and hold the details defensively and offensively where we could hurt Man United. And I think when you are able to do that all through the week with different training sessions, brings the confidence to the player, and going into the game they know exactly what they need to do in every position and as a team. And I think it was not a lot of differences from Liverpool, but still some differences were really important for us to cause more trouble to Man United.
And just one more quick one on that. How much trust do you have to have in your players for that to work? Because you say Tuesday to Saturday, that's not a very long time, and some of these players won't have played in that system before.
Yeah. That's sometimes a difficult balance to find, because during the week you work on that. Sometimes you have good answers, sometimes not, and you still have to produce a starting 11 and making sure you give the confidence to the players who are starting the game. But also, as you could see today, it's not only about the 11 who start the games, because I think you need to make sure the ones who are coming in know exactly what they can bring and that instinct in the game. And I think today it showed that. I think all the squad knew exactly what was the game plan. If they were starting the game, what they need to achieve, if they were coming in. And even the ones who were not starting, they were ready to step in and know exactly what they had to do.
Thanks, Amy. Rachel and then Charlotte, please, and we'll come to Sandra at the back. Thanks for waiting.
Okay. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Marc Skinner's obviously been in here talking about investment in his club and ambitions on his side of things. He takes a lot of questions about that, but I suppose on the flip side of it, how important is it for you that these clubs that are trying to catch up to you and trying to achieve what you're doing and matching your ambition, particularly when you have these ambitions now to go and conquer Europe, that the domestic side of things remains healthy and that these clubs are matching what you're doing or trying to achieve?
Yeah, I think it's important for most of the teams to invest in women's game, because I think if you have more competition, you are able to perform better. I think even for me, I'm not going to say I want all the other teams to go down, because it will be different. So we want to have competition, because when you know you have to compete, it's where you produce your best. So as a manager, as a club, as a team, as players, I think this is what we want and what we need to be even a better team. I think as a Chelsea team, we want to make sure we want to be the top of the league and bring everyone with us. So this is what we want to achieve, but we need the other teams to still invest and come with us, because coming into this league, I said, like, as a manager, probably when I was in France, to be fair, 80% of our games in the league were games where, even if we didn't play the game plan right, because we had more talent than the other teams, we were able to win. I think here, as a manager, if I don't get the right game plan, I know we can be in trouble. So this is something really great, because it makes us better.
Thank you so much.
Charlotte, next, please. Thank you.
Sonia,
Hi,
sincere
Charlotte.
congratulations. I
Thank
remember when
you.
I spoke to you last, you were so excited to be stood in that technical area. How satisfying, given that the tactical, the technical, the physical details of today's display were so polished?
Yeah, really pleased with that. Sometimes to be able to win a final, it's a great achievement. But when you are able to win and have a strong performance, it's even better, because you just show you are dominant, and it's a great feeling to feel that after the game, especially in your last game in the season. But again, we prepared this game in the same way as the other games. The maybe mainly difference was the atmosphere was really loud, so the players couldn't listen what I was telling them sometimes. So we also had a really clear plan on that, how I was communicating with the players to make sure if we had something to adjust, we were able to do that. And to be fair, maybe if I would like to have something to change in this league for the future, is for almost all the other teams to stop to have a tactical stoppage during the game, when the players go on the ground, because I think it's not fair for the fans. You want to play this final, you want to be like in as much as you can in the rhythm. And I think we could see today and all through the season, a lot of the time when the coaches want to have a tactical change, they just ask to a player to go on the ground, and they do that, which I never did that this year. And even today, I was trying to find a way to communicate to my players without stopping the game, because I think, again, I want to play, I want to have the ball involved as much as we can. And even for the fans, for them to enjoy the game, I think it's better.
I think that's a very good suggestion. And also, of course, the silverware completing the treble is one thing, but forgive me if it's a little bit personal, but seeing you sort of celebrate with your children as well. We talk about investment, and we've got one of the greatest female athletes of all time watching the game today. How important is it for women's sport to have role models like yourself, your coaching staff, that can be mothers, can be incredibly successful at an elite level, and that representation and visibility in the mainstream has such an impact, not only in women's football, but in wider society as well? How do you feel? Because I think you're a real, beacon for that.
Yeah, it feels great. I started in the beginning, I was one of them who I was thinking it was maybe really difficult to be a high manager and a mom of several kids, I would say. But because I had in my environment people who were giving me that opportunity to find the right balance in my private life and my job, I think I started to believe like it was possible. And I think the example today is the right one, just to be able to be successful with your team, to invest a lot of time and energy with your team, but also find the right balance with your family, and just to give the opportunity to my kids to live these moments here in Wembley. One of them was like asking me at the end, like, is this, talking about Serena Williams, is this person really famous in the world? And I was, I will explain to you who is she, and you will see on the screen later. But just for them to have the opportunity to live that, that's such a dream. So now I want I'm almost 45 years old, and I want to be a woman who just set the example for the other women. Not about me talking a lot about it, but just showing that example. And I just want to say, live your dreams and believe you have the talent, the ability to be in that position, and just go for it.
Hi, Sonia. Congrats. I just wanted to ask,
Hi,
following on from what
Sandra.
you were saying about Europe and obviously Chelsea with the domestic dominance now. I mean, how much will you get? Do you want to enjoy this moment and just kind of enjoy this moment, or is the brain already thinking targets, transfer targets, whatever you need to do, and is the work going to start almost next week in terms of I want that Champions League now?
Yeah. Watch out, transfer target everywhere. So watch out, every clubs, all the other clubs. No. I think today it's about celebrating. I think that's the right moment to do that. We just achieved the treble. I think to have the opportunity, because the club did great things for us to have the opportunity to celebrate today with friends, family, and all the people who work in the club behind the scenes. I think it's just time to celebrate that, to enjoy. I started to reflect before, but now it's the right time to just enjoy. I'll be reflecting in the future and during my holiday break this summer. But we know already what we want to achieve, where we want to go, and the decisions we need to make to go in the right direction in terms of everything, infrastructure, squad. So we are in a good place in terms of reflection.
Glenn?
There's been some discussion that the league might look to have a playoff system at the end of the season. And you experienced that in France last year. Having done the hard work of winning the league, they then had to do it again, and obviously Lyon have done it again last night. How was that as a coach?
Really difficult. And I was watching the playoff final in France on the Friday evening, Lyon against PSG again. And I was happy for Lyon, obviously for two reasons. I was their manager not a long time ago, but also because when you are able to win the title in the regular season with 10 points ahead or 11 points ahead of the second team, I think it's not fair just to have one game for the other team to try to beat you. Just not fair for all the work you have done during the season, the regular season, just to give the opportunity to other teams, because you never know what can happen in one game. You can get a red card, you can have some players injured in that game, not available. And I think for me, like, the reality is like a championship is one regular season. So I'm a lot against the playoff system. But just because, you work so hard during 10 months, and in one night you can lose everything, which is not fair for me.
And talking of high-profile mums, Sam Kerr obviously hasn't played for you at all while you've been here for a year. She's been out for 16 months now. She's had that difficult experience with the court case. Do you see her as a potential new signing come August effectively for yourself, or because she's another year in her contract, is there a sense that maybe it might be a good time for the clubs to part ways?
No, I think I was really sad not to have the opportunity to have Sam with us in the squad involved this season. I think she's a great player. We need to find a way all together, the player, but also the club, to have her back. And I think, it will feel a new signing for me as well, for sure. Because, when we talk about going into these games at the end of the season and to fight for trophies, I think when you have Sam available or not available can make a big difference. So Sam is a scorer, and we need to have some scorers in the team and in these big games.
I didn't see her on the pitch. Was she not here today? Presumably that's part as a new mum.
No, not because she's a new mum, but she was not here physically. But she was with us mentally.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more for any more? Tim, thank you. We'll finish with you.
Sonia, just interested to hear what you were saying about control of a game. Today, of course, there were 2 late goals, so that put the result beyond doubt. But up until then, it was a 1-0 that you appeared to be nursing towards the final whistle. And there have been a few games, even in this invincible season, where you've had to do that. You've had to nurse a 1-0 lead right to the end. Just say something about that game management that you seem to impose so well today in the second half, after, as you said, first 10 or 15 minutes of the first half being, I don't know, maybe the players were a bit overawed by the occasion or whatever it was. But the game management of the second half was sort of textbook.
Yeah, you know, like when you want to win, you have to make sure like you create opportunities in the box. You want to make sure like you bring players in the box. Sometimes like the second half, I was telling to some players, make runs and go in the box, because if you don't go with intent, if you don't go in the box, we can't score goals. And I think we create some opportunities. We couldn't score. The first goal we scored on a PK, but we had maybe 2 situations where we could have scored in the first half. And when you are not efficient enough, I think, it brings you to a different game plan where you have to find solutions coming, maybe bringing some players in to try to change that and to score some goals. So sometimes it's about changing the system, sometimes changing the players, sometimes you have to make that decisions to try to help your team to score and to be efficient, because in the final the most important thing at the end is for you to be efficient, being able to be clinical, score your opportunities, but also not to concede when you are in low moments. So as a manager, when your team is only leading by 1 goal, you need to make sure when you make some substitutions, you bring the right player to score or to create opportunities and to be in a position to score.
Thanks, Sonia. Have a good summer.
Thank you so much. I just want to mention one name. I'm thinking about Paul, because we had a video in my presentation before the game, and he was in the video, and I think if he was here with us, all of us, he will be super proud. So I'm thinking of him and his family. Thank you all for your support and for being here. Also,
thank you.
Enjoy your summer. Bye-bye. Bye.